Hello and welcome to the News Minute. For the past few weeks, the Hindi versus Marathi row in Maharashtra has hogged the national headlines. There is widespread opposition against the imposition of Hindi, and the ruling BJP government was forced to withdraw two government resolutions that said Hindi is mandatory as a third language under the NEP. To talk about this, I have with me Mr. Deepak Pawar, who is the president of Marathi Abhyas Kendra, somebody who is on the forefront of this agitation. So, thank you so much for talking to us. But before I go across to him, here is a quick reminder. We here at the News Minute have been consistently reporting on issues related to language, Hindi imposition, and the opposition to NEP from South Indian states. If you like our work, do become a paid subscriber of the News Minute by scanning this QR code or click the link in the description to contribute to our reporting fund. Why has the entire state of Maharashtra erupted against Hindi? How long has been this protest going on, or is this anger that is simmering in Maharashtra against the position of Hindi language?
No, although NEP is called NEP 2020, it has taken 3 to 4 years for the government of Maharashtra to work on it and to ensure how it will be implemented in school education, college education, and university education. So, in colleges and universities, wherever there were autonomous centers, they have actually tried to implement that particular thing in the last academic year. In certain affiliated colleges and private universities, they have started doing it in this particular academic year. And therefore, uh, when in schools, when they started this entire campaign this time, or implementation process started in 2023, there was a steering committee of the government of Maharashtra's education department, which basically worked on this particular issue. And there was no mention in NEP of the implementation of the third language policy. There is no mention in the state curriculum framework about the implementation of the third language. However, some IAS officers in Maharashtra, they tried to impose this in a backhanded manner, and that is how there is a very strong and adverse reaction to this particular imposition. So government wanted to impose or to start NEP in schools from this academic year, and they began that particular process in the month of April. On 6th of April 2025, they came out with a government resolution saying that in from first standard to fifth standard in Marathi and English medium schools, English will be a compulsory language. People opposed it. The chief minister initially said, why are people opposing an Indian language where they should actually be opposing English language? Because that is the whole ethos on which the RSS and the BJP is based. And then the minister for education, who is actually a nobody in that entire process, he said that we will think about it, we will take care of it. And then on 17th of June, government came out with another GR. Now the agitation intensified, and on the 29th of June, all of us together, the School Education and Action Coordination Committee, we started a statewide campaign and we initiated a symbolic burning down of two GRs and two circulars from the government. Political parties participated it in large number, and then on that particular day in the evening, the chief minister in his post cabinet briefing said that these two government resolutions would be withdrawn, and that has been withdrawn. However, the government did one thing in that GR, that they have appointed a committee in the with Professor Narendra Jadhav as the chairperson of that committee. So that particular fear of English Hindi language imposition still haunts the educational arena in Maharashtra.
But Maharashtra as a state has opposed Hindi for a very long time. Like, in Tamil Nadu, it's very clear. We follow the two language policy, but in Maharashtra, it's not like that, right?
Yes, in Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu is an example of implementation of the two language policy formula. In Maharashtra, we are not into that particular formula. We have use of English language in the sixth standard or the eighth standard, and gradually people have learned Hindi language in one way or the other. So Maharashtra has been more than receptive about the use of Hindi. although there is a sizable number of population which says that Hindi is not the national language, and therefore we should only have conversational or functional Hindi. We should not have anything beyond that. But there is a long trajectory where Marathi speaking people have, in a way, given their life for the promotion of Hindi. So in Maharashtra, you will find Hindi Rashtra Bhasha Prachar Samiti has its one of its headquarters in Maharashtra, and one of the Congress leaders, senior Congress leaders, Uddhav Pawar, heads that. So we have spoken to the Congress people, we have spoken to other political parties. If you want to teach Hindi, you can teach Hindi, but don't call it national language, because there is no constitutional provision for the national language. So Maharashtra has this tendency of helping the Himalayas, helping the northern belt, helping the cow belt whenever the country is in danger. And unlike Tamil Nadu, we people are in the middle of the north and the south. So people from the south do not consider us as part of them. People from the north do not consider us as part of them. We are in the middle, we are in the western part of India. So historically, our people have been getting aligned with northern politics, but more so, you will find recently the Hindi Hindu Hindustan model of the cow belt is affecting Maharashtra so adversely that Maharashtra is almost becoming like a laboratory for this particular politics. And that is where people are opposing Hindi.
Well, why do you say that, sir? Why is Hindi, Hindu, and Hindustan politics affecting Maharashtra? What exactly is happening?
Hindi Hindu Hindustan politics, which I have been speaking quite frequently, is basically the product of Golwalkar's Vichardhan or bunch of thoughts, where the focus is on one language, one nation, one culture, and the kind of monolithic nationalistic narrative that the Sangh finds necessary. Now, this particular monolithic nationalistic narrative basically keeps the Muslims out of it, keeps the Christians out of it, keeps the Buddhists out of it, and even among the Hindu fold, it keeps a sizable section of the deprived communities away. So it is a linear kind of a narrative, and we think in Maharashtra that what we try to counter with this particular Hindu narrative is the idea of Maharashtra Dharma, where the idea of Dharma is not in a particular sense of religion. We look at it as Maharashtrian identity. We look at it as the narrative of Maharashtra, where Marathi language, Marathi culture, and the Marathi Manus or the Marathi speaking people, we are able to look at them proactively and constructively. So our opposition to the Hindi Hindu Hindustan narrative is because we don't want to create a kind of bulldozer economy. We don't want to create a bulldozer polity. We don't want to create exclusionist political system. And we don't want Hindi language to become a cultural weapon for imposing its hegemony on our language. If you look at the way the government was trying to propose from the first standard to the fifth standard, if Hindi becomes the third language, Marathi and Hindi have similarity of grammar, certain differences in grammar, script is the same. Over a period of time, people speaking the English language being more in number, Marathi and English, they are going to get converged, and it is we are going to produce a mixed language, and that mixed language eventually would contribute to Marathi becoming a sub language of Hindi. So what has happened to Bhojpuri, what has happened to Avdi, Bundelkhandi, Magai, and Braj is something that might happen to Maharashtra. And we are absolutely concerned about this kind of hegemonic worldview of the northern belt, and that is why we are going to oppose it tooth and nail.
So you see NEP also in this in the same prism, because NEPs, the way NEP has been designed is to ensure that Hindi gets prominence. When you say there should be three language policy.
See, NEP also says that a child should get education in mother tongue up to the age of 8.
Right.
So if the government wants to implement national education policy in toto, then up to the age of 8, across India, they should stop education in all languages except the official language of the state, which is the mother tongue of most of the people in that state. So they don't want to do that, but they want to argue that Hindi is suggested by the NEP. Nowhere NEP suggests that any Hindi has to be made mandatory
Right.
from the first standard.
It doesn't mention explicitly that Hindi is the language, Hindi is the third language. It doesn't mention that. Then how do you draw
Absolutely.
this inference?
See, it is because our government, our state government, is hyperactive and hyper nationalist. They think that to serve their masters in Delhi, they will have to do something, and that doing something is by imposing the language of the cow belt, because the script of Marathi and Hindi is the same. Their argument that NEP suggests this, we have countered this on multiple platforms, that NEP never has never recommended this. The state curriculum framework till 2023 never recommended this thing. Rahul Rekhawar and other IAS officers who are actually pawns in the game of the of compulsion of Hindi narrative in Maharashtra, they are the ones who are trying to push this language through the back door. Now the question is, if they and one of their arguments is CBSE, ICSE schools have English and Hindi as two languages, and because Marathi is made compulsory in those schools by the government's act, they also are studying three languages. Our response to that is, if you think CBSE and ICSE schools are having three languages, remove Hindi from that. Only have English and Marathi. Only have two language formula. If you are going to equalize, then don't equalize in an adverse way by imposing three languages. Equalize in a comparatively egalitarian way, and even CBSE, ICSE, IGCSE, IB, and all other boards up to standard 10, they should have primarily only two languages, unlike what we are having today.
But when you say cultural hegemony, when you say that the BJP is trying to bring in the cowbell politics into Maharashtra, they are planning to change the identity of Maharashtra. Then it means it's political, right? The entire fight is political. Like, do you see
Absolutely,
NEP
absolutely.
as a political weapon?
See, NEP is a political weapon, and I think MK Stalin is one of the first persons, as political leaders, representatives, to understand that NEP is not NEP per se. NEP is basically a cultural weapon in the hands of powers in Delhi, and therefore Tamil Nadu realized at the outset that NEP would mean implementation of Hindi across the state, and that would change the overall linguistic structure or linguistic mapping of the state. Maharashtra does not have that kind of courageous leadership for two reasons. Because Mr. Stalin's leadership comes from Periyar's movement. Although Maharashtra has Phule Ambedkar and Shahu's legacy, the present political combination that is in power in Maharashtra and has brutal majority on the floor of the house, they are the ones who are basically split away groups of two major state level political parties in Maharashtra. So they have surrendered their self respect. They have surrendered their regional identity for wider political gains, and therefore they are not speaking. Why the BJP is not speaking? Because in the peace period, or when the BJP is not in power, BJP would keep talking about languages across the state, across the country. But when they are in power, they would always be focusing on a unilateral narrative, a unilingual narrative of imposing Hindi. So language is essentially a political matter. So if education, classroom education, if ideology behind education, language formula in schools, if it becomes political and political parties start manipulating or utilizing it, I think the buck should stop with the government, which has actually initiated this process.
And what about the regional parties in Maharashtra? Have they taken up this issue? Because I think after your moment started, uh, uh, gained momentum, and there was a lot of support from political parties. And I understand it was the Congress party that came out in support against this entire
Yes,
protest.
yes.
And what about the major political parties of Maharashtra? Where are they? Like you said, the leadership is weak, but at the same time, there are leaders like Uddhav Thackeray, Raj Thackeray. Now they've come together on this plank. Do you think this will work out?
See, when we started the campaign, we said that it is civil society movement with the help of political parties. So across Maharashtra, around 25 to 30 organizations we brought together and launched the campaign. And without considering any kind of notion of untouchability in mind, we approached all political parties. Congress party, which generally does not take up language related issues, has taken up. And I think because there is a change in leadership in the Congress, and a typical feudal lord mindset of the Congress has undergone changes because of the political debacle that the Congress has faced. Congress supported us, CPM, CPI supported us, Vanchit Bahujan Aghadi led by Prakash Ambedkar, Dharmarajya Party led by Rajan Raja, and all smaller political party, Aam Aadmi Party for that matter. And at a later stage, Uddhav Thackeray's Shiv Sena and Raj Thackeray's Maharashtra Navnirman Sena, they also supported, their people participated in the campaign when we went for the symbolic burning down of government GRs, government resolutions. They participated, and on the same day, government decided to withdraw the two government resolutions. Now we are trying, after that we had a Dharna Andolan on the 7th of July, and we are talking to all political parties that the government of Maharashtra has appointed Narendra Jadhav's committee, who was in RBI as an economist,
He's
then he
an
was in Rajya
economist. Yeah.
Sabha. Yes, and he was in Rajya Sabha, appointed by the BJP government, and has quite a proximity with the BJP and the Sangha Parivar, and therefore we have to be alert. So we are constantly talking with political parties and trying to convey that this is not only the issue of imposition of a language, it is primarily the imposition of some sort of cultural, the internal colonialism of the Hindi language, which we need to tackle, and tackle very seriously.
Now, how can you say that when you have RSS, which is headquartered in Nagpur, which is in Maharashtra, the RSS has a different idea about the country, right? Like what they want to,
Absolutely, absolutely.
what they want to implement, and then they'll say that okay, RSS was born out of Nagpur, so it also has certain ideas for the state. So how are you going to fight this?
See, RSS is born out of Nagpur, but RSS is now not a Maharashtra level organization. They have a pan India following, and they are completing 100 years of their existence. They have a particular idea of nationalism, which is different from the Hindi nationalism idea of Gandhi, which is Hindu nationalism or cultural nationalism. Over for a very long time, very long period of time, when they were in opposition or even banned by the government due to the assassination of Mahatma Gandhi, they have understood a technique, they have understood the tactic of working underground. And when they came to power, or when they came closer to power in 77 after emergency, in 1989 in VP Singh's government, or in 1996 when Atal Bihari Vajpayee became prime minister for 3 times, and now under Modi for the 3rd time. So you will realize that RSS and the BJP will always keep telling you that we are not together, we are separate. The BJP is a political party, RSS is a cultural organization. But we need to understand that BJP may be the political tool, BJP may be the political instrument, but the organization that calls the ideological shots, the organization that takes core ideological decisions is the RSS. And therefore, if you read Golwalkar's collected writings and speeches by many other leaders of the RSS, you will realize that for them, a kind of monolithic, non-negotiable brand of nationalism can be created if they have one language. Having diversity of languages is a problem for the RSS, and therefore, when the government of India in the early 50s started thinking about linguistic reorganization of states, the then Bharatiya Janasangha had spoken about dividing the country into 4 parts: eastern part of India, western part of India, southern and northern part of India, and not linguistic reorganization of states as we envisaged it. Janasangha participated in the Sayukta Maharashtra movement for some time, but it was the organization which joined the last and left the first. So they were there because there was tremendous political pressure, but they have a very, very calculated, ruthless, stubborn, and narrow agenda of how a nation should look. And therefore, I understand your argument that they are in Nagpur, how will we fight? But Nagpur or Wardha is also the ground of Mahatma Gandhi. Wardha is also the ground of Vinoba Bhave. And Maharashtra is not owned by the RSS. Maharashtra is not controlled entirely by the RSS, and there are saner voices in Maharashtra. There are voices that realize that if any kind of fundamentalist and communal agenda has to be tackled, understanding the language agenda in the most explicit and expansive manner would be the only way out. We are trying to talk to people, and I'm sure we will be able to take this, tackle this menace in the most effective manner.
Okay. Now that the government has withdrawn the GRs that they had issued, the two GRs saying Hindi should be mandatory, what next for your moment, sir?
See, the government has withdrawn the GRs. That does not mean the government has stopped taking any particular action on this particular issue. There are elections in Mumbai Municipal Corporation elections. In fact, there are no elections for last 3 years. And if there are no elections in last 3 years, government wanted to create this particular Marathi non-Marathi rift in a very calculative way. However, what has happened is now, because things have backfired, the government has decided to take time and appoint Narendra Jadhav's committee. But we have said that Dr. Jadhav, however respectable he may be, is not an expert in child education, is not an expert in child psychology or linguistics, and more importantly, his proximity with the BJP and the RSS makes him very, very vulnerable as far as writing of his report is concerned. And therefore, we strongly oppose it. The committee will function for 3 months, whatever. I think if the elections get over in 3 months, the report will come in 3 months. If the election in Mumbai takes place after 6 months, the committee will also take 6 months, because they would not like to publish the report of the committee before that. Whatever Dr. Jadhav and his committee does, we are going to go across the state of Maharashtra and fight for against the imposition of Hindi language and protecting the status of Marathi in letter and spirit.
Okay. So my last question to you, the opposition to Hindi language is one, but at the same time, you talked about a cultural hegemony, the Hindi Hindu Hindustan imposition, the agenda of the larger political agenda of the RSS and the BJP. Do you think that there should be a national movement to fight this, to oppose this? Because every state has their unique identity, and now the BJP's idea is to create one identity. So how do we fight this nationally? Do you think that states should come together?
Yes, I completely agree that there should be a pan India movement. Our primary effort is to ensure that we are able to create a template in Maharashtra. If we are able to create a template in Maharashtra where Maharashtra generally considers itself a progressive state, but in last 2 decades, Maharashtra has been highly communalized. Maharashtra's politics has developed so many shades of fundamentalism. To bring the Marathi Hindus primarily back to some kind of saner politics and let them know that Marathi Muslims are Marathi, Marathi Christians are Marathi, Marathi Buddhists are Marathi, Marathi Jews are Marathi, and Jains in Maharashtra who are staying here for few hundred years are Marathi, and therefore the language discourse must be inclusive, accommodative, and transparent, and that can be the only viable solution to the communal and hegemonic agenda of the Sangha and the BJP. That is the kind of organizational network that we are planning to bring. That is the kind of organizational network we are trying to build. Once we are able to be a little bit, get little bit success in Maharashtra, there is a platform that I work with. It is called Campaign for Language Equality and Rights. There are people from across India working for that platform. We will be taking help of that platform and try and create a pan India movement which will challenge religious hegemony, fundamentalistic dominance with with the collaboration of diverse religious linguistic identities.
Right, sir. Thank you so much for talking to us and explaining to us what exactly is happening in Maharashtra, why there is widespread protest against NEP and Hindi imposition. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much.